All right, welcome to episode 6 of the Iowa Girls Wrestling Stories podcast. Today is a really special episode. I have 4 of the moms from my co-op, the Ridgeview Girls Wrestling Team, and we're going to talk a little bit about maybe some of their apprehensions of starting wrestling, and then after being in wrestling for a little while, what they think about that. And each of them have daughters in different spots in wrestling, and they're actually from different towns and different school districts because we have a co-op of 5 schools. So first, I'd like to introduce Renee, whose daughter is Jaden, and then Susan, whose daughter is Lainey, Leah, whose daughter is Briley, and Sarah, whose daughter is Destiny. So, welcome, ladies. Thank you very much. I appreciate this. Hopefully, this helps some moms and maybe some dads figure out if their daughter should wrestle. So, I'm going to start, of course, with Renee because she I know was her. They had some issues with Jaden even joining wrestling. She thought about it for a couple years, and I know she's probably embarrassed about that now. But what were some of your guys' thoughts on that? Why maybe you were a little bit apprehensive about having Jaden join wrestling?
Yes, and we are embarrassed about it now. But at first, her dad just thought it was a male sport, and thought, definitely didn't want her wrestling boys. I was really worried that she would get hurt. And then she had played basketball since elementary. And I thought, well, why all of a sudden do you want to switch your junior year and go out for wrestling? So we told her no for quite a while. She finally came up with a top 10 list of why she should get to wrestle. So
Very nice, very nice, and it worked out pretty well so far.
it has, yes.
Yes. Susan Laney joined last. No, she's been out for 2 years now. So, what were your thoughts when she said, "Hey, I'm going to go be on the Ridgeview girls wrestling team"? What were you thinking?
Well, her freshman year, I didn't really know that she was like going to go start going to practices. And then she kind of was like, "Oh, by the way, mom, this is what I want to do." And so then she kind of got, I think, kind of the end of the season, kind of dabbled a little bit her freshman year.
Yeah.
And her sophomore year, that's when she really was like, "This is what I want to do." Of course, Dr. Shepard was the one that Gear had, spoke to us in like a physical and said she really needs to go out for wrestling. And so my biggest fear was, of course, I think that was also was I was afraid she was going to get hurt because I didn't know. I grew up around boys wrestling in a small town, and I saw how rough and tough they were on each other. So I was kind of worried about that. And then my other big fear was she's very active in many activities. So with us being in Alta Aurelia, coming to Bridgeview, I didn't know how that would work, but um, she just had to prioritize what, grades and her academics and everything else.
Very good. And now, Leah, uh, Briley started a little bit before those two, before their high school career. I know this because I think I was at Briley's first wrestling meet. What were some of your thoughts when Briley decided she wanted to wrestle?
Briley, I believe, was in fourth grade, and since Beckham wrestled up here at Ridgeview, but we were not in the school district yet, she would get bored sitting with me at practices and saw Tatum Shepard there. So she was determined that she was going to try it. I was pretty hesitant about it, and I don't know. It was hard for me, I guess, because I was used to watching my son wrestle, and so the first few meets that Briley had, she wrestled all girls because Jason kind of planned it that way. But then after that, I don't think she had another girl match for almost 2 years. So that was pretty hard.
Gotcha. Yeah. And Sarah, I know Destiny also started a little bit earlier than that. I don't know exactly what year she did, but I remember watching her down at AAU State and saying, "Who is that girl?" But why don't you give us a little bit of information on when Destiny first started, what you were thinking at that time?
Well, actually, Destiny, she did a couple of kid tournaments when she was like 3, 4 years old, but never really got into it. She more ended up doing, like volleyball and basketball and softball and gymnastics and dance. Um, and it was when she was in seventh grade that she came home after school one day and said, "Mom, I don't want to go out for basketball this year. I want to go out for wrestling. I really want to wrestle." And I told her that's what she wants to do, that I was good with it. And she was like, well, what about my friends and my coach, Leah? She goes, they want me to be in basketball. And I said, but Destiny, if you want to do wrestling, then you need to do wrestling. And me as a parent, I was excited because her brothers wrestled. So, and I didn't have a problem with her doing it, and she was more of a defense girl all the time.
Yeah.
I felt like it ran in her blood.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Your family is definitely a wrestling family. Coming to Ridgeview, it's a co-op, and we're combined, with a lot of different schools. We have 5 different school districts coming together, which actually has worked out very well for us, and hopefully it continues to work out very well in the future. I know that the state is talking about possibly breaking some of those up. I don't know if we're quite in that size yet, but being on a team like this, what are some moments you think that because they were in a large co-op maybe made friends, or just, what do you think having the team like we do, what has that done for them? Have they found new friends, whatever that is? And we'll start with Renee again.
Yeah, definitely. Jaden has made some lifelong friends, not only with the Ridgeview wrestling girls, but the other girls that she met at different wrestling meets and different, when she went to Florida. You say a lot. She would always come home and say, that their wrestling team is a family. And we really feel that when we go to different meets and different activities we see, like at the fair, we saw quite a few girls that she met wrestling, and, they have those lifelong friendships that will continue even after high school.
Yeah. Susan, does Lainey have anything that really sets, that you can think of from the team, from the sport?
We always laugh because Lainey kind of makes friends everywhere she goes. So she just felt right as part of the team. It doesn't matter where the teammates were from. They were all just one team. And I remember one time she was like, we need to buy some coloring books because we all liked, the certain girls like to color. And when they do their I think Christmas coloring books is in particular,
Yeah.
a fun thing. And, they just had their little bonding. They did great bonding. So, and then we would leave a meet, and I remember she was just talking to one random girl, and she was getting her like Instagram or something. I don't even know. And I was like, who's that? She goes, oh, just the girl I met, and that's nothing for her, but it wasn't even, that's what it's all about, just making new friends. So.
Yeah. And Leah, I know Riley doesn't really have any problems making friends either, but what has she gained from being on the Ridgeview team?
Well, she gained Jaden. We actually live a half a mile from Jaden and didn't know that for 4 years, and they ended up being pretty good friends. For her, I think it's been nice that she met people that she can be herself 100% with. That's not always the case.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. As high school girls, there's a lot of pressure to fit in and be the same. And I guess those wrestling girls are not, and I'll put myself in that category. We're definitely not the same. Sarah, what do you think? What's Destiny gained from being part of the Ridgeview team?
Well, I know she really likes the fact of other girls that wrestle. That's, how do I say the word? That loves doing the sport that she loves doing.
Yep.
And that there's no pressure of, because you're a girl, of not doing it. They feel like family. Everybody, they connect with each other. They talk. She still has connections with some of them that have been seniors and that have left.
Yes. Now, one of the things that Jason and I talk a lot about, and I really feel this is one of the biggest things that girls wrestling brings them, confidence and self-esteem. and then maybe even being able to overcome situations. And again, we'll start back with Renee. Is there something that have you seen a difference in Jaden's confidence and self-esteem, and is there any situations that maybe she's overcome because you think maybe because of wrestling?
I've definitely seen a difference in her confidence. And that kind of goes into the other areas in school. She's an FFA officer, so I see that leadership in that area, as well as 4-H in her church youth groups that she belongs to. She really has that determination now that she can put her mind to anything. She feels like that since she got us to let her go out for wrestling. Ooh.
Sorry.
There's a phone call.
It's actually Destiny. Her ringtone. Sorry about that. I'll mute that.
And I think just that confidence, that determination of wrestling has helped her. This summer she was in a car accident, and she hasn't been cleared yet to wrestle, but every single day she's saying, I'm going to wrestle this year. And even this morning, she's like, I know I'm going to be able to wrestle this season. So just that determination that she knows what she wants. She's working hard to get there, and hopefully we'll get the all clear for that.
Yeah, that accident was definitely a big scare for quite a few of us, and definitely hope that she's able to get back on the mat. But we already have talked, and there's for sure a spot on our team no matter what happens. But we're all hoping that she's back on the team. Leah, anything that you've seen in Briley since joining wrestling or just being in the high school wrestling environment this last year? Anything you saw in her confidence and her self-esteem?
I guess the drive to get back up. That's been the biggest thing. I mean, I think it taught her how to push through struggles a little bit better in everything, not just on the mat.
Yeah, well, that's good. I definitely see a spark in her for sure. And she's fun to have in the room. She is definitely a goofy kid. Sarah, with Destiny, man, I saw a big difference in her confidence over the last couple of years. What have you seen at home, or with just in her entire life? Oh, I think you're muted there. Yeah, Sarah.
Sorry.
No problem.
That she feels a lot more stronger and a lot more confident. That she can more set her mind to doing anything that she wants to. I mean, she has lost some friends along the way, with her going on her way to wrestling. But then, she's also gained other friends and realized that, she's doing what she wants to do for herself. I think it's also gave her the confidence that she can do other things. I know it's not just with wrestling, but like she had a family member that told her that, schooling with nursing and stuff is going to be too much for her. She can be able to do it. But she's like, Mom, I do my wrestling. I was able to get through it. I can focus. And, she passed her CNA. She did great. And she's like, I can do this. And she goes, I'm going to prove them wrong like I do in wrestling.
Perfect. Yeah, that's awesome. So if there was a parent out there and they're on the fence of whether to let their daughter wrestle or not, could be anywhere across the state, could be anywhere in the country. What would you say now? What would one thing you give advice to, or what's one thing that you would definitely let them know that it's good for their daughter to go out for wrestling? And again, we'll start with Renee.
I would say give your daughter a chance at this sport. Like I said, I was hesitant about Jaden, but I've just seen such a different side of her than I've seen in any other sport that she's participated in. Just give them a chance, and then support your daughter no matter what during those wins and even during those losses, because they did something great and amazing out there.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And Jaden sometimes reacts harshly to a loss. I've been around that. But I think you do a really good job of making sure that her sportsmanship comes through. I know she's said that to me afterwards. My mom was really mad about how I reacted to that.
Yeah.
So you've taught her lessons too. So that's really awesome. Susan, how about yourself? If someone came up to you tomorrow and said, my daughter's talked about wrestling, what do you think?
Because I know Lainey is still trying to get a couple people to come. She's, always encouraging people to, do things. And um, so I know that it is like she has been, it is a great independent. They push it pushes them as an individual sport. Granted, they're a team, but I've seen her work harder at herself. Like she's always that one that's cheering each other on, but she's that cheerleader, but she's always pushing herself. So it's a good, I guess it's a good individual like that. Like you said, that gives them the um, challenge, I guess, to push themselves harder. And
Yeah,
I
and
guess
I've seen that in her. She started late, and it took me a second after you said that she did start late that her freshman year. And I don't think she may have got one win that year. I don't even remember if she did or not. But this year, you could definitely tell that she was pushing herself and she's learning, and she's done quite well. I don't remember exactly how many wins she had, but she did very well this year, and you could see this just a little bit more confidence. And then this summer, she went along with me to a practice down at Grandview, I believe we went. And so I see that she's pushing herself, and that's really cool.
and I guess, and also like she had no clue wrestling at all. So like it doesn't matter either, like to a parent either. Like Lainey had no clue what wrestling, had never probably, been to
Yeah.
her world. We came from Omaha. So it's not like we grew up like I did in a small town where you went to wrestling meets. So it doesn't matter if they don't know anything about the sport. You can still learn.
Yeah. So Leah, what advice would you give if your friends came up to you and said, "Hey, my daughter's going to be a freshman this year. Should I let her wrestle?"
I would tell them definitely to do it. I think it's been one of the best experiences that Briley has had, and it's been great to watch her grow in it. I think there's still a lot of people that are hesitant to allow their daughters to try it, and it's nothing to be afraid of.
Very good. All right, Sarah, how about yourself?
I would say about encouraging them to think outside the box, to expand their opportunities, to play sports, and to raise awareness about gender equality. I mean,
Yeah, we could talk about Title IX for probably hours if we really wanted to.
Yeah.
And the importance of girls having the same opportunities as boys, and honestly, sometimes I think that our team has proven that those opportunities, give the girls an opportunity, and they're gonna run with it. I look at our team coming back, and I know there's a lot of apprehension when we lose what we lost from last year, when you have a Tatum Shepard who's like one of the best cheerleaders you'll ever have for every girl on the mat, but and just all around stud. But then Izzy Deeds, a 4-time place winner, 1-time state champion, and then we lost Dania, who was had been to state 4 times, but kind of a coach in the room. We lost what most would think would be a lot, but what we have coming back is pretty exciting. I think we have 7 or 8 girls coming back that have over 20 wins. And I believe that includes Jaden and Briley and Destiny. We have a state runner-up in Destiny coming back next year. I've seen the girls. We had seven girls go to Florida this year and get all that extra practice. I think we had about 10 of them compete at AAU state. And I know Lainey was going to go with us on a trip to North Carolina for Junior Olympics, but that trip got canceled. So everybody's been working hard. So I'm pretty excited about it. I'm going to give each of you just a real quick last minute. Any thoughts on wrestling, the team, anything? It doesn't have to necessarily relate to this, and then I'll finish up and we'll call it a day. Go ahead, Renee. You can go ahead and start.
Okay. One of the things I was really surprised about, Jane coming home, was sharing how much the coaches not only taught them about the sport of wrestling, but talked to them about proper nutrition and health. And I know Jaden, one of the times, first time she had to try and lose weight, she just wasn't eating. And I liked how the coaches really, talked to her. That's not the best way to lose weight, and encouraged her to make healthy choices. And then also just teaching them, the coaches did a great job of teaching them to be the best version of themselves. Because after all, the wrestlers that we have are the role models for these younger girls coming into this sport. And what better way to look up to them by showing them those positive attributes that they have.
Yeah, that's really good. Susan, what do you think? What's last thoughts?
So I kind of noticed this kind of speaks to the coaches. So I was really impressed as seeing Lainey come in, that they had like, and they were empowered. The coaches kind of empowered the girls to make them feel like this sport, like you always brought them up and gave them like brought their spirits up and gave them empowered and that they are girls and they can do anything they want. And I just always felt like they were encouraged. And it wasn't like, and you also taught them, yeah, you're going to win and you're going to lose, but you're going to do your best. And it just was always, it wasn't, a lot of things are always, you have to win, win, win. And it was just, I was pretty impressed by that.
Thank you. Leah, what do you think? What's your thoughts?
That this is, I mean, it really is a family. And I would say that I don't know if Riley's had ever in her life the type of support system that she has gotten out of this team. So to all you guys, thank you for that, because it's allowed her to be probably the best version of herself that I have seen in the last few years.
It's very good. And there's big things in here for her future. And Sarah, what do you think? Destiny, man, she had a hell of a year last year and a hell of a tournament, but that's small part of what we do there. What's your thoughts? Kind of some final thoughts on Destiny and wrestling.
Well, I know on Destiny and stuff, it's gave her a lot more confidence, especially with her being able to wrestle with your team and the girls and you coaches encouraging her, not putting her down as for the fact that she's a girl. Trying to state back of like her freshman year when she wrestled for Storm Lake, she how do I explain it? She was on varsity, but they'd move her in a weight class, but when they went to districts, she couldn't wrestle. They didn't take her.
Yeah.
And that hurt her, that put her down. And with her coming able to Ridgeview and being able to wrestle with the other girls, it's been a lot of help for her because she's able to do the sport that she loves. She's able to be out there. She's met a lot of great families and girls, and everyone has really good encouragement. I mean, not just our coaches, but even coaches from other schools I know have came up to Destiny and other girls on the teams, other families, and, they've made comments to Destiny, about her wrestling, and they're not putting them down.
Yep.
And I love that fact, compared to what she was getting, her freshman year.
Yeah. I think
gave her a lot more confidence and boost that she can do it.
Yeah, no, she's done fantastic. It is amazing. I'll share a real quick thing with Destiny. Wouldn't have been last year, but the year before at state, she got beat out maybe a round or two before placing. And I had, both Tatum and Izzy were very upset about not placing as high as they wanted to, but I talked to Destiny and she was just thankful to have had the opportunity. And so that speaks a lot to me of Destiny's character. And then this year she turned around and had a great year. I'll give my final thoughts and then we'll call it a day. I've been coaching girls wrestling 10 years. I think it's probably the best thing I've ever seen for high school girls to do, middle school and high school girls to do, because I've seen the difference in the confidence, whether it's a win or a loss on not just our team, but on many teams. I see girls from across the state because I help with AAU. And so I just know that this sport is really good for girls. it builds so much more than a trophy, wins and losses. I think the whole idea of, I am statements, that I am enough, and I think they finally figure out that maybe they are enough within this sport. And I'd like to just thank all of you very much. One of the things we're going to do this year, and I think you've probably seen my post with the puzzle pieces, is everybody's a piece of this puzzle. And I want to make sure you guys know that the parents are such a huge piece of this puzzle. And I care so much about each and every one of your kids, and I care so much about each and every one of you. And together we're just going to have a great season. And I think just the representation that we have in this area, hopefully we'll start building the sport even bigger in this area and within the state. So I want to thank you all very, very much for taking your time today. I know this probably wasn't the biggest thing on your plate and stuff today. I know, Sarah was coming back from a wedding. Leah's going to be hopping in the car here shortly and going to dance for another 4 hours, and I just know everybody's busy. So thank you very much for taking the time to do this. I appreciate you. And I think we're just going to call that a day. Everybody have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Troy.